it's Nicole and today I'm here to recommend you 3 books that are going to sate your hunger after reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Everyone knows that this book was magnificent and beautiful and fantastically written. Don't come at me in the comment section of this video. This is the Evelyn Hugo stan account and I'm going to cut you. Today I'm going to talk about books that are equally as beautiful and wonderful and that have similar plots or topics in them. The first book that I'm going to recommend is going to be The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. It's a very different book when it comes to atmosphere and writing style. It's more of a gothic fiction, while The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is commercial fiction / historical fiction. But if you're looking for the same plot or the same story, if you're looking for a star or a celebrity telling their story to someone that's going to write their biography afterwards, this is the one that you're going to enjoy. Personally, I really love Diane Setterfield's writing style. I think that the mystery element was interwoven very beautifully into the story, and I suspect that people that love The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo are going to enjoy The 13th Tale for those reasons. This is a story about a young woman who is trying to make it as a biographer. She works for her father at the moment, who has a bookshop. One day she comes back home and sees a letter on her doorstep, and it turns out that a famous reclusive author wrote to her asking if she's going to be interested in writing her biography. The protagonist, of course, cannot reject this opportunity because it's one in a lifetime, and she travels to this woman's house to figure out what happened in this woman's past, which turns out to be very dark. Are you surprised? There was also a movie adaptation of this book that people seem to love. I have not seen it yet, and I hope that this type of a deal is going to happen for The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because it's going to make a fantastic TV series. Like this video if you agree. The next book that I want to talk about is The Air You Breathe by Frances de Peebles, and I still have no idea how to pronounce this author's name, but this book was wonderfully written. It was so beautiful. Full disclosure, it was sent to me by a publisher last year, and I'm so grateful because it was fantastic. It was so good, and it was completely to my tastes. I have not seen this book on Booktube much, which makes me sad because it's so good and it's so underappreciated here. This is a story about the rise to fame of 2 Brazilian musicians. They meet when they're children and they come from 2 different classes. One of them is Doris, who works at a sugar plantation. She's an orphan and she is used to fend for herself. And the second one is Graça, who comes from a privileged background. She's a daughter of the sugar plantation owner and she's very spoiled. She wants to be a superstar when she grows up. She wants to be on the radio, she wants to sing. They are becoming close because they're close in age and they have the same dream. They want to be musicians, and it seems like both of them are not going to be musicians because of their social standing. When it comes to Doris, it's obvious, but Graça is the only daughter, and her father wants to marry her well because she's good looking and he is very low on money. It's a story about them growing up, finding their path, and starting from the bottom in the slums of Rio de Janeiro as entertainers for drunks, and then rising above their circumstances and becoming superstars and having to entertain masses and be in Hollywood films and being icons. It is also a story about their turbulent friendship and about their complicated feelings for each other, which sometimes delve into romantic, at least from the point of view of Doris. It's a very entertaining story and it reminds me a lot in its elements of The Seven Husbands. It has a different structure and it is a different story, but it is also about becoming famous, which The Seven Husbands is about. It's about giving up some of your heritage and making sacrifices for the sake of your career and your future. It's about being pulled apart between your career and your relationships, which are huge topics in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo too. Evelyn Hugo is also bisexual, and Doris is bisexual and has complicated relationships with her friend, which is sort of happening in The Seven Husbands as well, although they were never friends, they were lovers. And I think even though Graça is Brazilian and Evelyn is Cuban, they experience similar things when it comes to beauty standards and their heritage and their culture. I really love 𝕊𝕆𝕆𝕂𝕊𝕆𝕁. It's a fantastic historical novel. It has great plot and the relationship dynamics are so rich. The last book that I want to recommend is Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleeton. On paper it's a different book, it has a different plot structure, but it's about a similar thing. It's about a girl named Marisol who goes back to Cuba, to Havana, and tries to discover the real story of her family. She goes back to honor her grandmother Eliza, who died and wanted her remains to be buried in Havana. She flew from Havana during the revolution when she was a young woman, and Marisol doesn't know much about that time, but she really wants to. And when she comes back, she meets the neighbors that lived beside her grandmother for ages, and they tell her about Eliza's life. And she also finds old letters that bring up to life what happened a few years before Eliz and her family run off to Miami. It's a very beautiful book. It's a story about a family that was trapped in a difficult time period in history and that to this day are experiencing hardships because of this. I really love the voice of Marisol and the voice of Alyssa, because Alyssa is the one that is telling her story. We get two point of views in this book. There were also a lot of romantic elements in this book that are also a part of Forbidden Love trope, which was present in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo as well. I highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for something romance heavy but with a lot of weight and a lot of substance to it as well. These are the three books that I recommend picking up after finishing The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. In the comment section, tell me if you read any of them, if you think that they are similar, and maybe tell me about the books that you think are similar to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because I need more. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you soon in my next one. Bye!